welcome to Wisdoms. It's actually Thursday, Cam, it's auction day,
Yep.
so you and I are all dressed up ready for auctions, but it's been a long time, guys, because we've been pretty flat out, haven't we?
Yep. Well,
And so we thought we'd better get stuck in, and we have got a raft of information and a stack of questions. So, Cameron.
we're on a schedule today because
I
I've got someone's
viewers.
already called me up to go through a property before the auction, about 45 minutes before the auction, a new buyer going through a property. So it shows the heat out there in the market.
It does.
We've just finished the financial year.
Financial year.
A couple of days ago. So it's interesting to see what's happened over the year.
It's been a huge year, Cam.
What's your take on the year?
Hey, look, it's been a huge year. It's been, it's had its challenges, especially of late, with that feeling of uncertainty that has drifted into the market because of things that are happening internationally. But I think we've had a brilliant conclusion to the year. We've got a really exciting start to it. So good people chase down everything there is in the market.
Yeah, I think just put some numbers around it. March month, last year we did 114 sales in the Papanui office. This year we did 119 sales. So in a much, much harder market.
Yeah.
We're really working hard for ourselves at the moment. And what we're starting to see behind the scenes is that the good agents and the good companies are still
really
doing lots of
rising, aren't
sales,
they? Yeah.
and there's a lot of companies out there and a lot of agents that are struggling to get sales on the board.
Exactly. Cam, I think, in markets like this, and we've noticed this over the years, people kind of don't go with friends of friends or, their second cousin who's just got their license. They want proven professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're selling your number one asset. I don't know why you'd sell with a mate unless they're a really good mate.
I know, and even that, it's got its risks.
Well, mistakes have been made. I've had 3 calls in the last week from people that have listed with another company, and some of them are really significant properties. Listed with another company, not getting the results that they want, listed with the wrong agent with no experience, no substance to them, and then they're stuck with them for 3 months selling their number one asset, and they're worried about it. And I've got people that have literally taken their property off the market after 4 weeks because they're not happy with the results and the performance.
Really?
So this is what's happening at the moment. So you've got to be so careful, do your due diligence on agents, talk to a few people. There's a lot of reasons why you should choose or not choose an agent in a company, because there's more to it than just the person. You've got to also choose the company behind it.
Oh, I think that's absolutely true. Cam, I've got a question because we've had so many questions and our beautiful PAs have typed them out and cut them up for us and divided them into little groups.
Great.
So here we go. This is for Cam. If you stripped away the noise and the headlines, what are you actually seeing with buyers and sellers on the ground? So you've given us sellers. Talk to us about buyers, because I've got some thoughts there too.
I think, this is quite a raw market. People are nervous, they're apprehensive, they're cautious.
Yeah.
If you put yourself in a buyer's shoes at the moment, you've got inflation's going up, you've got petrol prices are high, everything's increasing, interest rates are on the way up soon, you've got a war in the background. You can't tell me that with all that noise that property prices are going to go up in the next year.
Yeah.
So I think that the most optimistic people out there are thinking that prices will stay flat.
Yep.
But the realists are
As in stable.
Stable. But the realists are probably seeing some pullback in prices.
Yep.
And I think that's what I'm seeing at the moment, is we're actually seeing that some of the houses out there have actually, even in as little as 6 months, we can see prices have come back.
Yeah.
So it's a really tough market to be a buyer, and in saying that, it's a great time to buy.
Yeah.
Because
talk to us about that.
Well, it's like I've talked about before, it's the bottom cycle of the market, so it should be a great time to buy. What this event in the Middle East has done is it's probably pushed back the time until we're going to start to see some growth.
Yeah.
So earlier in the year, late last year, I was thinking we're probably 18 months away from some property growth. I think now we're probably 2 to 3 years away.
So 24 to 36 months. So it's a doubling, although we have on other occasions where there have been significant events, and we've had them here at Christchurch, seeing that very big pullback, and then because of circumstances,
a boom.
A huge bloody boom.
Yeah.
But they were big circumstances. We had also earthquakes, then we had COVID. and then you saw prices just go all over the show. So there is always that element of surprise that can come in as well.
So 60% of the people, I believe, will just sit on their hands. They'll do nothing in the next 6 months to a year because they're too nervous about everything. But those buyers that can see through the smoke on the battlefield will probably buy really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are looking at that all the time, and we know that there's some properties adjacent to properties that we own that we think, gosh, this could be a great time to acquire them. We're still selling properties, personally, we're still vested in the market.
I mean, I don't think it's a total buyer's market, but it's definitely swung back a little bit more to buyers. They've still got lots of choice. And vendors selling at the moment just want to get the deal done, because if they're buying and selling in the same market, it doesn't really matter too much if their prices come back or gone up a little bit, because they've got to buy in the same market.
Hey, the other part of that equation is, and we've seen it recently, we've had owners who have taken the time to really present their homes beautifully.
Yeah.
And then they've gone on and done things like got the building report done, they've disclosed anything they need to disclose, they've been absolutely transparent and presented beautifully. And hey presto, they've got wonderful results.
If there's any time to get back to the basics in real estate, it's now. So you've actually got to invest more in your promotion of your property. So that means bigger marketing spend to get probably the same number of buyers.
Bigger draw card.
So you might invest more money to get the same number of buyers than you would have 6 months ago, but it's worth doing. And you've got to present your house. You've got to shine it up and polish it up and stage it and do the painting, provide building reports,
do the floors,
to build confidence in the property, so that the buyers will come up. When all of that stuff's done, magic can still happen. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. We sold a property in Beckenham a couple of weeks ago. The owner had talked to another company. They recommended that she put it on at Negover 950. She wanted $1 million for it. We got a pre-auction offer within a week with about 60 people going through of $1,050,000. Bought the option forward. We got extra bidding to over 1.2 million. So for her, 20% difference of what she wanted to what she got. And that's the difference.
I mean, that's extraordinary, isn't it?
It's process.
Yeah.
It's process. Interesting stat we learned the other day. So in Harcourt's Gold, we have about 19% of the consultants in the industry within Harcourt's, and we're writing 30% of the business.
I know.
What do you think
huge,
of that?
Isn't it? I mean, I think it's fantastic. It's something I'm really proud to be part of. Cam, I think it's really also across the board, across the teams and all the offices.
Yeah.
I don't think, as much as people out there might say, hey, that's all Cam. And there's certainly, a considerable amount of it, but I really think it's just part of that team and a lot of the processes that we've got that allow people to get better all the time at the craft of real estate.
Yeah, I mean, that's the culture within Harcourt's Gold. What's your theme for the year?
Yeah,
together we're gold.
Together we're gold.
So one person,
not just one person, and we silo.
Yeah, one person doesn't make a team. Yeah. So I can write a lot of sales, but with I also get sales from working with the other consultants within the business, and I share my sales with them, and it's a team game. So we've just sold a property last night off the market. Another agent in the office has sold it. So that's one of the strengths of working with all the top performers, is there's a wash of property and a wash of business and stuff.
And that opportunity that's always surrounding you that we share within our business and within our group. So that's really exciting. Now I've got another question. Here we go.
I think it's my time.
Oh, is it? Okay, all right. Here's
one for you.
Okay.
From Aaron.
Thank you.
How do you cope with stress?
Okay. Aaron, I find the way to cope with stress is to have really good structure. So it's something that Gilbert Anoka has talked to us about and written about. Okay, so discipline and structure. So I like to enter the day really well. I like to exercise. I like to put thought into everything I'm going to do in the week in advance, so I always prep. I try to spend time with family and friends, so it's not all about work, and that's really helped me a great deal. And apart from that, I swear a lot. Or I I try to move on quickly. I don't hold grudges, you know, and I try to think that everything's for the greater good, and that if there's a lesson I have to learn, get on and learn it. I don't look backwards. So that's how I deal with stress. How do you deal with stress, Mr. Carnivore Diet?
We eat lots of
Mr.
steaks.
Extreme?
Yeah. I mean, I love stress. You know, I think stress
You've got to have some.
brings out the best in us. It's like pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah,
I love that saying. I'm a lot the same as you. You know, I make sure I have my structure and my disciplines that have got nothing to do with work, like the gym.
Yeah.
You know, just
Time
relaxing, listen to podcasts, stuff like that. But I welcome stress. I really do. I love it, but I don't dwell in it. I think that the mind and our bodies are used to a certain amount of stress, but more often than not, our minds take us to that next level of stress, which we don't need to get to. And our minds always go to the worst possible thing that's going to happen.
Totally.
And like, I've really been working in the last few years of pulling myself back from those extremes and just dealing with the facts.
Do you know what I think you're talking about, Cam? I think you're talking about being in the present. Because I think what you're referencing is our intention as human beings to manifest forward, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
We meet owners and we meet buyers that do exactly that. And if we're not manifesting forward, we're ruminating back. Oh, I remember I had a problem here, so if I had a problem there, it's going to be a problem again. So I think it's about staying in that present moment.
Yeah, that's
We've
exactly
both got
right.
so much better at that, eh?
And I think it's about seeing the good in it.
Yeah,
Because
what's the lesson?
So many times our mind goes to, this is bad. But from my experience, pretty much every time there's more good that comes out of what you think's the bad things than actually the bad stuff.
That is so true. I mean, I think some of the hardest things that have happened to me in life were probably the best, you know, failing my nursing exams, you know, not just once and twice and then being kicked out. I mean, I got back there and I was a staff nurse and I loved it, but that taught me a lot. You know, I think I look back and I think I'm glad. And when sometimes people would tell me over the years, you know, I felt this, I felt that, and I said, I felt plenty of things.
And I think even the same, last year Dad passed away, as you all know, and I like as much as I'd still love to have him here, the valuable lessons and education I got from that will just be worth so much to me and my years to come.
I mean, more time with your mum.
Yeah.
Beautiful mum.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's just loving all of that.
Just more time.
Yeah.
Like focusing on different things, prioritising different things. I mean, the value that come from that was just priceless to me. Yeah, Dad was priceless as well, but I got an equal benefit back. It's like the rule of polarity. I always think where there's one reaction, there's an equal and opposite one. And I've got the value of Dad back in lessons and education.
Yeah. Oh, that's
but so stress, I love it.
Yeah. I don't always love it. It can get a bit hard out there, but I have learned a great deal from it, and structure and discipline really helps me. I think it helps make the best of the stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's
it's
good.
about not getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, no, we don't want to overwhelm. Okay, this is beautiful. This is what keeps great agents in a business long-term beyond income.
Beyond income.
Yeah.
Well, income doesn't keep great agents to start.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about the money. I think it's about the culture and the ability to grow.
Yeah.
So I think one of the strengths within Harcourt's Gold is that we have a history of growth.
We do.
Within our company. And the company as a whole, the company's growing every year. But you can see our agents, and not just me, but I did literally start at the bottom rung of property as a real estate agent, and I've worked my way up to the very top rung. Within the company, you can see people doing that. You can see Lydia O'Loughlin, you can see Jack Milligans, you can see your Mary Turnbulls, who was the Rookie of the Year and got to the very top of the industry as well. I look around other companies and I don't see that happening. You know, I see other people get to a certain level and then they don't move.
I think what people do sometimes is, because I really think that ability to grow as an individual first and then go on from there is really amazing, but I think sometimes what people do is growth is really just about adding in more people. So you'll see some extraordinarily large teams of people, which we have over the years. But what I've really loved is seeing people who have come to us and within a sort of 18, 24-month period really flourish. And I've seen that happen this year as we've finished a financial year and we've been able to kind of review where people are, have gone during that year. There's been some growth, Cam. I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of them and I'm proud of the business that has facilitated that. So that's a really
That's
cool
what I'll
thing.
be looking for. And the growth, and I'll be clear about it, the growth doesn't just come in more sales.
Yeah.
Like the growth comes
Who you are as a
who
human
you are
being.
as a person. And it might be that you're learning more about mind and wellness and like investments and wealth creation and stuff like that. There's so much more than just how many sales you've done.
I mean, it's a pretty small metric, really, isn't it? If that's what you like.
And it's not fulfilling because I used to think like that. I used to think that the more sales I will do, the more money I make, the happier I'll be. And then you get there and it just doesn't exist.
No.
So we spend a lot of time chasing what we perceive we're missing the most, and then when you get there it just doesn't exist because you've been chasing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So I would be looking for the right people around me.
And very much so.
And if you're not growing, you're dying. So like I'm always looking for growth. I'm looking for challenges. I'm looking for growth. I'm looking how I can grow myself. You're exactly right. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic with teams at the moment within real estate because teams are the sort of the flavour of the month. And I've got a team around me. And
because there's so much business.
Because there's a lot of business.
Not because you want to appear perhaps more successful than you are.
So when I've got to a stage where I've got enough work, I add another person to my team. And, that makes the whole team better. What a lot of companies are doing, they're getting 2 or 3 average agents and putting them together to try and make one good one. And on paper, it almost looks real, but the reality is it's not.
Yeah.
And
because we would want to grow everybody, wouldn't we? And then grow the team as a whole. I did a team reset recently. I called it an activation, where it was a new team that had come together. An existing high-performing consultant wanted to work with a couple of people he'd identified as being on the same mission. Who wanted the same things and how to come together. So we worked on a session with that, and they're doing really good work in that space. I'm excited about it. But it wasn't just, hey, come on board and make me look good. It was, hey, we can all do the things that we want to do. We can all grow. Really, it's quite a different mindset to what we're seeing around us.
And what we're seeing is that within a team, you've got individuals within a team all acting by
just
themselves.
doing
That
your own
doesn't
thing.
work. And that's just for the figures and just for the numbers. So
because we also focus on leadership, don't we?
Yeah.
So if you are leading a team, you have responsibilities to that team. It's not just about saying go out and get me sales so I can be up the ranks. That would be very sad.
Right, my go.
That's one of yours.
Oh, is it?
So it's mine. Oh, here. We can both do this. I am quite new to real estate. What's one piece of advice you wish more people took seriously earlier in their careers? So I'm new. What's one piece of advice you wish people took seriously earlier in their careers?
Well, I think you've got to choose your tribe. I think that, here's a good example. What's some of the misconceptions about Harcourt Scott?
Ruthless, tough, don't care about you, only concerned with Cameron,
agents.
only concerned with help agents, don't care about anybody else. There's probably 100 more.
So that's what all
those
the
are the ones that
other
I
agents and other companies say about our company because they're trying to move people.
And their principles.
Yeah.
And their principles. I try not to talk about other folk because I think if they're doing their best, I'm doing my best out of my way.
The reality is that people perceive high performance as scary. But really high performance. I find high performance exciting and I find it encouraging and I find it exciting.
Yeah, which is why we seek out and are sought out by people who are high performers in other industries, or sports people, or people that work at high levels in any number of other things seek you out, because I think people kind of want to work together and want to know about each other.
Well, the reality is that if we were cutthroat, we were ruthless, we were just chasing sales, we wouldn't have a business.
And you wouldn't have a 3-decade business that stayed at the top of its game. Hey, very interesting, and people I've heard it levelled at me, hey, only interested in top performers. Well, I spend time across the entire company. Yesterday, I was working, or 2 days ago, working with someone who's relatively new, struggling, working in not in our company office, one of our other offices, and just put her hand up and said, hey, could you help me? And I help her every month. And I'm loving that. So I'm doing that across the company the whole time. So I think we're always available within a company. I'm always available. I'm only a phone call away, and nothing is better as a leader than to be able to support, assist people who are with you. And there's different levels of that. Everybody needs a different nuance of what's right for them. That's kind of what I think. But there will always be fingers pointed at people who are successful and really, really good at their craft. But I think look closer. And if you're really brave and really courageous, give us a call. How's bells?
What do you think about the results? Like results, awards, what do they mean?
Well, I think they give you a placement and a framework and a foundation. I think they're a measurement. Then certainly not everything. I think culture is bigger, but I think a really successful culture just will dominate those awards and things like that, like we do, because of how good we are. And you cannot stop a train that's moving forward at momentum. You can't say, hey, slow down. We want us all to be the same, because we want to be better. And that takes harder work, better processes, more intelligent application of the way you do things. And that's important to us. And to the day I go, that's one of the things that I'll be working on, with intensity and passion. What do you think?
I totally agree with you.
Slow down that train, we all want to be on it. I think the thing is, Kim, it's just occurred to me, the next time someone says, hey, they're ruthless, or they win all those awards, or they do this, they do that, say to the person, would you swap? If you could, would you take those awards? Would you take those positions? Would you take that team? No.
True.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? And normally this isn't something we'd talk about, but we kind of have to, We just kind of have to lift that curtain a little bit to sort of say, hey, you don't put yourself out there year after year and try and do things so bloody well. And I guess, we expect to be knocked in a lot of ways.
It goes with the territory.
It goes with the territory, same as Cam, your board talks.
We get a lot of pressure to stop doing them from other companies, because what I find really interesting that it is in the 15 years I've been doing them, no one else has started to do them, because
they'll do them once have a good month.
Have a good month and put it up there, but we do it every month. So we do it on the good months, we do it on the bad months. You can see the differences between years, you can see the challenges in the market. So other people don't want to stand behind that, and generally people don't keep doing them because they don't want to show the difference.
No, exactly.
The difference.
They don't want the measurement.
Yeah, they don't want the measurement, because when they start comparing it to what their company's doing, there's a huge difference. It's like I said, 19% of the agents out there writing 30% of the business. That means that lots of the agents out there aren't writing any business.
Which we know
but
is
if you're
true.
in our company, you've got a better chance of writing more business than everybody else.
You do. You so do. Now, Cam, I know you've got to go and do a viewing.
I've got another. No, we're still good. I've got another question for you, so don't try and get away from that.
Here we go.
From a recruitment lens, what's changed most in how people are choosing a brand or business to align themselves with?
Okay, I've got two answers to that. Okay, because there's been some big changes, and then there's one thing that sometimes I'm surprised at, it hasn't changed. Sometimes folk don't do any research at all. They don't do any research. They see a little note saying, hey, we're having a recruitment event, or come in and meet us. They go and meet them and they think, oh, this is nice, let's do it. You know, and sometimes that works. And then sometimes a wee while after that, they'll say to me, gosh, we wish that we talked to you. And I said, well, I'm always here. So I think, you know, one of the surprising things is people continuing to not look and think about the business that they can have, the business they could join, and what it takes to be successful within it. So do some things. But I think otherwise there are another group of people who are coming through and they are the opposite. They're doing a lot of research, they're going everywhere, they're making decisions, and they know that they have to have a plan. So there's a bit more or a lot more thought with one portion of people who are coming in, doing their research and realising that it's going to be hard work. I think for many years it was seen maybe as a little bit of a default thing. I'll go and sell some real estate, it's going to be easy. You know, people who always thought it would be easy, couldn't be any harder really. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But I do think they've come in, a lot of the newer people, especially with families, and they're trying so jolly hard to put their family in a good place and space within their work career, whereas for us when we started that was pretty tough. You know, you wanted the family to come first, but sometimes you were trying or pulled in a lot of different directions, so that was hard. So I think people are coming in thinking, hey, you know, I've got to have a day off. You know, we started 7 days, and sometimes that for you that went on for years. You know, and they're thinking, hey, no, my family, I've got to get to things, you know, so they're a lot more structured around that, and I think that's a good thing.
I think one of the things that probably has changed is that, and I think that some people still fall into the trap, but I think that people make a decision on the brand and the company that they work with on too short a term vision.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like they look at the company today and they look at, sometimes the other companies will give them a marketing package to start, or they'll put them into a team, or they'll do something today and they artificially get you into the wrong business because they almost dangle a carrot in front of you.
Well, it's like that dopamine, isn't it? Make me feel good quickly.
Dangle a carrot in front of you and then you grab it. And you actually don't sit back and have a think about it. Hey, where do I want to be in 10 years' time? Who is going to get me to where I want to be in 10 years' time? And that's something I've always, you know, I've talked about this before, you know, when I started my real estate career, I used to work year to year. Yeah, I just wanted to sell more houses year to year. And then as I got further into it, I started to think, hey, where do I want to be in 10 years' time? What do I want the business to look like? You know, who do I want to have around me?
Yes.
You know, and
Kim, you were doing the Odyssey plan before it was probably being studied. We're always looking at the research. And when we do business planning, we always have a research element. And this year we're looking at something called the Odyssey Plan. It's come out of Stanford, a couple of professors there, and they've done exactly that. Where am I at today? Asking yourself, where do I want to be? Their time frame was 5 years, yours has been 10, mine has always been the 10 as well. So looking at that, what's your plan B? So what else is there? And then if you couldn't fail, what would you do? You know, and it's such an incredible way of looking at things. So that's the kind of space and sphere we're going into, isn't it? So I love that.
It's a holistic, bigger, open-minded approach.
Very much
and
so.
Most people make a short-term, small decision.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we're seeing changing a little bit with the people that come to us. The people that come to us are wanting more. Isn't
it great? And you see them and like, hey, I'm ready for my first investment property. You know, I never thought I would have this chance or choice. And going home, you know, having a good month after month, or a great year, and being able to go home and say to the kids, hey, look, these are some of the choices we're able to take as a family. That's been incredible. We've got more and more and more of that, Cam. It's been brilliant. Yeah, no, I like that. Right, have I got one more?
And we can do another one.
Okay. Oh, I like this. If you could give your younger self one piece of real estate advice, one piece, what would it be?
You know, I still go back to, you know, have the right people around you. You know, I don't believe that I would have got to where I am without having you and John and the rest of the people at Harcourt's Gold around me, because it's not just about you and John, it's about having all the other people around me. I've got so many stories in my 20 years, and bumping into someone in the kitchen, and they give me a tip or they talk to me, and it's amazing how someone just grabs you in the corridor and says, "Hey, we've got Hayden Ralston took me out. I was walking down the hallway the other day, and Hayden said, have you got a few minutes?" And I did, and we went and had a talk, and he's looking to grow his business, and he's at an exciting stage because he's really getting traction in his business,
and he's very clear about the direction, isn't he? He's not just grabbing at things. Very clear about where he wants to go and the future he sees. We
talked about where he wants to be in the 10-year thing, and this is what he wants to do, and he's got some massive goals. He's an Olympic cyclist type person, so he's not happy with average. He just doesn't want to be average. He wants to be his best self. And his best self. And he was also, I found it really exciting because to see how he handles it all, and he was also in the back of his mind, he was also talking about how he was going to handle kids and family and sports, and he loves going to see that. So it's not just, hey, I want more people working with me so I can do more sales and make more money. It was, I want more sales so I can grow a brand and I can grow a business, but I still want to have time off, to go and watch the kids play sports, and I still want to do this and I still want to do that. So it was great to see him not just focused on the one thing, but looking at everything.
And I think that's probably something that happens to the people that are with us.
I think they learn from all our mistakes.
There were so many.
I've made plenty.
There were so many. Cam, do you know what? We have powered through a lot of things, and we've, I hope, been really wise. I think we have, but we've been very candid. Yeah. I think that is sort of that's important.
Well, I think it goes in line with the market, and probably what the market's been in the last 3 or 4 months, and probably what the market's going to be in the next year. I describe it as a very raw and honest market.
Which is what we've been today.
But that doesn't mean it's a bad market. There's good sales happening.
Great sales.
Had a house that I sold almost $4 million a couple of weeks ago. There was 4 people interested in that property, and 2 people bid on the day, and 2 people were didn't bid for whatever reason. But it just shows you the depth in the market when you can sell a house just under 4 million with that many people interested. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with the market. I've met a few people lately and they think the market's no good. It's not that. I mean,
it's still transacting.
I would suggest that probably look at your agent if you're not getting results, unfortunately. Because we're still getting results. We had more sales this year than the same month last year, and the market's harder. Inflation's gone up, interest rates have gone up. Everything's working against us at the moment.
But people that are under our sort of banner can cope with that.
Yeah.
The discomfort sometimes that comes from that, whereas other people just fold it's too tough.
I'm thinking of my great saying that the tide's gone out and you can see who's wearing togs.
Who's not wearing togs?
Yeah.
You can see who's swimming naked.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
Yeah, check that out. Anyway, see you soon.